So the right wing have found a new story to be outraged at, and to be honest, it's actually really hard keeping up. So a man has been jailed for 18 months for anti-immigrant tweets. I mean, that sounds bad. You shouldn't be jailed for simply having an opinion. Matt Goodwin said, "Welcome to the UK, where you go to prison for 18 months for anti-immigration tweets. This is insane." The Daily Mail ran this headline: "Twitter user is jailed for 18 months for 2 anti-immigration tweets made after Christmas market car attack that were viewed 33 times. GB News said, "Man jailed for 18 months over anti-migrant social media posts viewed just 33 times. Right-wing commentator Nick Dixon with, "This man went to jail for tweets, and part of the prosecution's case was his beliefs. Beliefs which are shared by literally millions of British people." Right-wing author Ali Beth Stuckey said, "Rapists get less time in prison in the UK than people who politely suggest that importing terrorists was perhaps a misstep." A polite suggestion? Is that the case? Was it simply anti-immigration rhetoric? Of course it wasn't. There was way more to it than that. I would say these people are not just being dishonest, they are flat out lying. So what were the tweets? Well, buried at the bottom of the Daily Mail article, Luke Yarwood, 36, said, "I think it's time for the British to gang together, hit the streets and start the slaughter. Violence and murder is the only way now. Start off burning every migrant hotel, then head off to MPs' houses and Parliament. We need to take over by force." He also said, "Head for the hotels housing them and burning them to the ground." This was in response to an attack at a Christmas market in Germany. I'm sorry, right? But this is not anti-immigrant sentiment, nor is it a polite suggestion, as Stuckey says. This is the most unambiguous call for violence, a direct call for slaughter on the streets and burning down of hotels and MPs' homes. You're damn right he should be in jail. He is a danger to society. But notice the framing of GB News and Daily Mail headlines. "Oh, it was only seen by 33 people. Okay then, go out on the streets. Call for the murder of people in front of 33 people. Is that okay? I mean, it was only a small crowd." As if the size of the audience makes any difference to the message. Now, people are going to point to Ricky Jones and say, well, he was calling for fascists' throat to be slit. But this is what is called whataboutism. Instead of responding to your point, they go, "Yeah, but what about that guy? We're not talking about that guy. We're talking about this guy." Now, Jones was also cleared from a jury. You may disagree, but a jury found him not guilty. That's just the legal system. So if anyone tries to compare, and they have, compare this to Lucy Connolly, she pled guilty. But the right wing who cry about the violent left are defending this man. So bringing up Ricky Jones, for example, is meaningless if people are going to defend Yarwood. The same people who say absolutely nothing about innocent grannies being arrested for holding up signs that say they oppose genocide and support PA. Just people sat down peacefully holding cardboard-made signs are being arrested as if they're a violent threat to society. But that doesn't matter to them. Free speech isn't a concern there. But when people call for violence, well, that's bad and authoritarian. People really need to understand how extreme the right wing have become. They'll say it's the left who have gone radical. It's a complete projection. I mean, it was just yesterday when Julia Hartley-Brewer said she didn't care if the Palestine activist hunger strikers lived or died. Not that they were silly to do it or that she disagreed. She said she doesn't give a jot if they lived or died. Would a Talk TV pundit say that 5 years ago? Would Brewer say that 5 years ago? Absolutely not. The left, really, as a whole, hasn't, I don't think, changed or moved its opinions. I mean, wealth taxes have certainly been the prominent message from the left in the last couple of years. But is this the measure of how the left is insanely radical? Meanwhile, GB News will platform people who call for remigration, which is a white ethno-nationalist fascist policy. It calls for the deportation of non-whites in this country, and that's been completely normalised. If you think the left have become more extreme and not the right, I don't know what to say to you. I mean, the Overton window hasn't just moved to the right, it's sprinted far to the right. A Labour Home Secretary suggested not long ago that we should take jewellery off refugees. But could anyone on the front bench even whisper the words wealth taxes? When the right-wing media or right-wing pundits tell you, hey, look, we're not far right, our opinions are actually just sensible, but everything has got more left wing. That's why we're seen as far right. I'm sorry, they're lying and they're gaslighting you. I mean, have we really moved to the left? The modern right is literally siding with violence, with calls for slaughter. The same people who say they care about law and order are defending this man on an institutional level. And to bring up Ricky Jones, by the way, can you tell me what institution, what political party or pundit have openly said Ricky Jones was absolutely right? Ricky Jones was politely suggesting that we get rid of fascists, or was saying, oh, this is what millions of British people think. No. Like, you can say that fascists suck, and I tell you what, back in the old days, we used to beat the shit out of fascists, but still say, I don't think it was right for Ricky Jones to call for people's throats to be slit. So even if you want to point to other examples where someone's supposedly on the left, I mean, they were a Labour councillor, I don't know how left-wing they actually were, but using that as an example kind of makes no sense, because you can point to so many instances where right-wing pundits have basically supported incitement of violence. Lucy Connolly incited violence. Yarwood, in this tweet, literally called for burning down of MPs and or their homes, and calling the burning down of hotels with migrants in them, and calling for slaughter on the streets. It wasn't just one crazy person saying it. It was one crazy person saying it, and then a whole host of right-wingers and platforms backing him. You couldn't say the same about Ricky Jones. Now, look, there are no sensible right-wingers anymore. Now, not that I think that the right wing ever had sensible opinions, but I think the way they engaged was certainly nowhere near what it's like today. Where are those that will actually engage in a debate on taxes and on the economy? Because now a lot of them are calling for mass deportations, nationalism, and a return to Christian theocracy. Meanwhile, free school meals are seen as radical. Basic centre-left policy prescriptions is called communist by the right. Now look, I know most of you watching are probably going to be left-wing, but if there are some of you who are on the right, do you really want to be associated with this? And if you do, then you can stop calling the left violent.